Kia ora whānau. This video is a little bit out of the ordinary. First of all though, we have around about 1,000 partnering pastors who are connected to this work. There's around about 1,600 prayer partners, about 4,000 volunteers involved in Hope Project. So first of all, thank you very much for your partnership with this work. You've enabled some pretty amazing things. We've had 10 national Easter Hope Project efforts now, and around about 5 of the Christmas efforts. This has included the gospel going to about 1.4 million homes 10 times. This has included around about 1.5 to 2 million people seeing the Easter ads about Jesus on public TV, and about the same audiences through social media. But in addition to that, this has created a platform for what our core work is, and that is innovation in the gaps in outreach. We're a ministry that uniquely tries to look at the church as a whole, not to build the Shining Lights Trust, but to look at what is not happening in outreach, to try to innovate into those gaps, whether ourselves or through another ministry who initiates something, or inspiring a church with an idea that can be shared. And this has resulted in a myriad of websites. There's 6 websites and 6 social media channels. There's things like God Talk, 10-Day Challenge, Why Christians Believe Christianity to be True. There's whole sermon series providing evangelism training resources to pastors to adapt in their churches. There's matching small group discussion guides. There's whole video series some of you won't know about that are specialized to an individual area of outreach, and more. This has all happened because somehow we came together and realized that things needed to happen for the gospel that were beyond the scope of an individual church or an individual movement. A denomination and a church, by the nature of it, look at what they do as a church or what their denominational organisation does through the country. We have stepped beside that to look sideways at the church, without looking at denominational organisations, instead looking at each city and town. What's not happening for the gospel? However, we've reached an important juncture. There's 14 years of this work behind us. We're looking now at the next 10. And the giving patterns for our work, while we're incredibly grateful, we're still on our feet. And the giving patterns around Hope Project, it's a miracle of provision each time. The reality is that only 11% of donations toward us are regular. Everything else is people or individuals or churches giving every 1, 2 or 3 years. In an average year, about 60 of the 1,000 churches connected with us might give. About 300 of the 1,600 prayer partners and volunteers might give. And this leaves the wider work highly vulnerable and in fact inhibited, with the financial risk for that sitting on a small few people. And this has led us to a strategic decision to have no Easter booklet delivery for 2025. To create a pause and to create space for the wider work and also its funding to be more carefully considered, because we believe the wider work is needed. So we are appealing now, please, that you would consider becoming a regular donor toward our work. By God's grace, in addition, we also hope to soon begin to raise a sizable working fund to enable greater efficiency within our work, because our work is about adapting and we need to be ready to go. As an example, resources created 10 years ago are outdated. I think the 10-day challenge actually needs entirely recreating and in a fresh way. Cultural dynamics are different. When we started this work, most churches knew little of and had little regard for things Māori, whereas today that's very different. I would say we're heading right into post-secularism with this kind of weird trend in Western civilization where secularists are saying, who are we actually as a culture, and beginning to admit we're Christian. This is a wave we need to engage into and help to feed and to leverage. I would say outreach in the youth space across New Zealand is weaker than a decade ago, and it was already concerning a decade ago. Outreach equipping through churches, though, is much stronger. A high number of New Zealand churches now do evangelism training by some means through a pulpit and small group, in contrast to a small number only through seminars about 15 years ago as a pattern. We need to be positioned to adapt again, because that's what our work is about. Specifically in outreach with a national view, identifying and filling gaps. We need more regular donors. Now, 2 more things very briefly that relate. First of all, our annual report has just come out, and I do hope that you will be more than surprised. If you've never read one of these reports, please, now is the time to do so, and you will discover a whole lot of work that you may never have been aware exists. It's not just Hope Project. Our challenge is that Hope Project actually eclipses our wider work of innovation. Read the first 4 pages. You'll be surprised to see the scope of it. And then choose any one of the other 5 topic areas and take a read, and you'll see the nature of what's happening. The final thing, Hope Project in 2026. God willing, we're going to be positioned to bring you a refreshed Hope Project. And the key change that I'm looking at for this, apart from fresh media and a fresh look to engage in a fresh way, is that it will be an even more collaborative approach. This is only in early formation stages, but if what I've got imagined in my mind at this point can be turned into reality, I think we'll all be quite encouraged, and I would hope actually that we will be helped in our outreach as a result as well. So in summary, thank you for your time. Thank you for your partnership. We don't exist without the partnership we have with the wider body of Christ, because we exist as a part of you to serve you in the gaps. Please take a look at the report. The first 2 reactions I had were, I'm blown away. The other was, I would never have imagined the scope of what's actually going on, and I don't think others would also. Please take a look, and if you're willing to, please consider becoming a regular donor. This work needs regular donors for this next decade. We cannot continue in the mode we have the previous 14 years. We look to God for His grace. Thank you.